Thank you very much for kind introduction. And before presentation, I'd like to express my appreciation to Professor Saito and other organizers. It's a great pleasure to join this workshop. So today, I'd like to explain our concept for material design and a few examples which were obtained with this interdisciplinary approaches, chemicals, and we named these class of materials chemicals inspired biomaterials. So at first, I'd like to show my introduction. So in our lab, we are interested in the development of functional materials with inorganic elements. So currently, especially in the industrial usages, most of polymeric materials are consisted with the limited number of elements, hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen. So based on under this situation, we think if we can introduce the other elements, so superior function would be obtained. So based on this idea, we are designing and synthesizing various types of polymer containing inorganic element. And I showed one example for on the I showed the example to offer the inorganic containing polymers. So we named inorganic hybrid materials. So polyurethane, which is well known as rubber or some kind of soft, flexible, and stretchable materials. And in our daily lives, so there are many polyurethane products. And there is one critical problem in polyurethane. So in summary, polyurethane has very low stability. And if we aim to improve the stability of polyurethane by chemical modification, in this time, as is often the case, stretching ability should be lost, and it is still a critical problem for developing functional polyurethane materials. So to solve this problem, we introduced a glass molecules. It is a chemical structure of the silica glass, and we can synthesize such kind of cubic type molecule consisted of silica cage, and we call this molecule molecular glass. And by introducing this molecular glass at the end of polyurethane, so we obtain the polyurethane hybrid materials. And we measure the decomposition temperature, and from the hybrid materials, the higher decomposition temperature was obtained. This means by introducing molecular glasses at the end of polymer chain, the thermal stability should be greatly enhanced. So, and we introduced the luminescent dyes, and finally we obtain such kind of stretchable luminescent material with high thermal stability. And it is one of typical example with higher durable. And usually we are focusing on the development of functional materials based on polymer and inorganic elements. But in this research field, one of effective design strategy. So this concept is named bio-mimetic materials. So based on the behavior of the natural product, we can obtain the very unique and highly functional materials. So it is kokuru bar, and we call the hitsukimushi in Japanese. And based on this plant, so we can obtain the such kind of tape. Name is Velcro tape. We call the magic tape in Japanese. Anyway, so it is one of a typical example, and there are many kinds of bio-mimetic materials, and there are several national projects in Japan on this on the development of biomimetic materials. And at this stage, we suppose if we design the biomaterials based on the chemistry in artificial devices or materials, so we thought unique function should be obtained. So, and we named these materials chemicals inspired materials. It is just we called this material only in our laboratory. Anyway, so in this topic, in this lecture, so I will show several examples of the chemicals inspired by materials. And we think, so based on this idea, so we can obtain the unique function, and some of them can be helpful for solving the problem in the current medical or biotechnology field. And I will show the results and design concept. So at first, I will explain the improvement of sensitivity of MRI contrast based on the chemistry for improving the thermal stability of the plastics. So it is general introduction of MRI contrast agent. So by using the contrast agent, we can detect the small size of tumor, and in these materials, so gadolinium ion should be included. And originating from the magnetic interaction of gadolinium ions and surrounding molecules, we can detect such kind of clear shadow in the images. And for these purposes, so there are many types of gadolinium complexes which are used for MRI contrast agent. But gadolinium ion has intrinsically relatively high toxicity, and there is still requirement for improving the sensitivity by changing the chyolators for gadolinium ions. And so it is basic concept for improving the sensitivity of gadolinium ion type MRI contrast agent. So by suppressing the molecular motion, so magnetic interaction should be enhanced. As a result, we can obtain the clear color. And for realizing higher sensitivity, generally larger molecular weight chyolators should be used. And in our laboratory, we previously developed the polymeric type materials, and it is other, they are example and reported by the other research groups. And but in our lab previously, we obtained a similar effect with higher sensitivity. But in the practical usages, such large molecules are not favorable. So in our body, so these molecules should be rapidly evaluated, because so these molecules cannot be absorbed into the cell. As a result, so these materials should be rapidly eliminated from our body. So therefore, it is essential to develop new material, new MRI contrast agent with small sizes and low molecular weight. But it is difficult to suppress the molecular motion with such small weighted chilators. And at this stage, we think if we can have the rigid chilators, so these molecular motion should be suppressed similarly to the other polymeric type chilators. And we designed new rigid chilata with such molecular glasses. By introducing the molecular glass into the core of the chilators, we thought this molecular motion should be effectively suppressed. As a result, so magnetic interaction should be induced. So based on this idea, we synthesized 3 types of complexes with various sizes and investigated the MRI imaging ability. And these 2 materials are commercially available contrast agent. And comparing to these materials, we obtained clear images, even with lower concentration. And by comparing to the minimum concentration values, so we can accomplish to detect the clear image even with the very low concentration. And from these data, we think we can say so from 10 to 100 times higher sensitivity can be obtained comparing to the commercially available clinical MRI contrast agent. And it is the it means these values mean the sensitivity in MR image. So comparing to the other polymeric materials, we obtained similar values, and these data represent the improvement of rigidity should be a useful tool or a useful strategy for improving the sensitivity in MRI image, MRI contrast agents. So, and next, by changing the type of complex, we aimed to add the stimulus responsivity. And it is known that nickel complex can make a bond in the presence of several amines. And based on this reaction, we designed the stimulus-responsive MRI contrast agent. And we obtained a similar complex. And at that time, several NMR signals can be observed. And in the presence of target amines, so larger magnetic interaction should be induced. As a result, MR signal should be changed. And by monitoring these changes, so we thought the existence of a trace amount of amine complex should be detected. And we investigated the, initially we compared the sensitivity to the fluorescence probe. So basically, fluorescence probes have higher, almost 1,000 times higher sensitivity than MR probes. And we compared the sensitivity. And by adding the amine complex, amine molecule, so we monitor the change of MR signal. And if we obtain the smaller MR signal, this means the detection should be accomplished. And by changing the target concentration. So we obtain the detection limit at 0.5 micromolar. And this is the result from the fluorescence probe. And in this case, 0.8 micromolar should be detection limit. And compared to this result, so we obtain the higher sensitive MR probes based on the hybrid chirators. And it is a demonstration for the applicability of our probes. So by adding various types of bioactive amines, and from the initial signal intensity, we observe the lower intensity. This means the detection can be obtained, and 10 micromolar is bioactive concentration. So, and as you can see, we can detect the existence of trace amount of such significant molecules. So, based on the hybrid chirators, we can improve the sensitivity on the MR sensing systems. So, inspired from the plastic reinforcement, we designed the hybrid materials, hybrid chirators, and based on this strategy, we can accomplish the improvement of sensitivity. And we think these materials are just for researching at this stage, but we believe by suppressing the toxicity, so we think this material can be used in the practical usage. So, and in the next topics, I will explain the new light sources for breaking through the limitation in phototherapy. So, so in this page, I will explain the situation if we can have the photon energy up conversion material. So at this stage, there are various types of photoactivated drugs, but at the deep spot inside the body, these drugs cannot be activated by the photoirradiation. So usually these for the activation of these drugs, so UV light irradiation should be needed. But so as you can see, as you know, so UV light should cause severe damage at the surface of our body. So therefore, actually these drugs cannot be used except for the skin. So if we can have the up conversion material which can generate higher energy light by the lower energy light irradiation. At this stage, it is imaginary material. So if we add this up conversion material together with photoactivation drugs, we can use the longer wavelength light, which has lower energy light. But this light has higher permeability in our body. So therefore, we can deliver the light energy to the deep spot inside our body. And by using up conversion material, these lower energy light can be converted to higher energy light. As a result, photoactivation drugs can be activated. So it is imaginary scheme, but if we can obtain such kind of up conversion materials, so these imaginary system should be realized. And phi, it is imaginary. So because according to the photoelectron effect discovered by Albert Einstein, and according to this theory, Einstein won the Nobel Prize 1921. So he proved it is up conversion system should be forbidden. So if we obtain such process, so it is violation in the physical area. But so we can find such conversion mechanism in our daily lives. So in the OLED, so sometimes it occurs. So under the over voltage, so conventional OLED should be annihilated. So in this devices, so under over voltage, so TTA process should occur. And it means by accumulating the excited molecules, so some special transition should be induced, named TTA, triplet annihilation. As a result, so excitation energy should be consumed. As a result, so luminescence should be disappeared. So, and it is only in the, it is found only in the OLED with over voltage, but by employing the energy transfer in solution state, we can observe this system. And it is very complicated, but in summary, by irradiating the green light, it is visible light. So we can detect the UV light based on the energy transfer and TTA process. And it is a demonstration by adding some molecules with some concentration, and by irradiating the green light with laser pointer. So we can observe some purple light, including the UV light. So it is a proof of concept in this scheme. And next, we aim to realize this TTA-based up conversion in the bio-mimetic condition. So based on the spheric polemic material, we aim to realize the inside space in the organic light emitting diode. So generally, in OLED, so emitter and other molecules should be condensed. And of course, in the solution state, it is difficult to obtain such aggregated state, especially in the biomimetic condition. So it is, this molecule has low solubility, and in this case, so we cannot obtain the up conversion effect, but by employing the such spheric polymer with hybrid core, we can accumulate these emitting molecule and light absorber. And by suppressing the molecular motion, so energy transfer should be should proceed smoothly. As a result, we thought a TTA process should be induced. And we monitor the luminescent property, and by irradiating the green light, so partially UV light can be obtained. And from this data, visible light can be converted to UV light. So, there are a few examples on the chemicals inspired by materials, and by developing future technology. So we think we can contribute to improve the human happiness. And based on such kind of interdisciplinary approach for solving the problems, these ideas should be useful for obtaining such functionality. So it is acknowledgement. Thank you for your, that's all. Thank you for your kind attention.